when you do problems like this bottom one, and they just give you a list of numbers to plug in, it's best to try to have some sort of organization to your work. If you just write work all over the place, it's going to be hard for me to find the answers. It's going to be hard for you to go back and find the answers. It's just messy. So these are the 4 numbers they want us to look for. For -1, when I plug -1 in, I have 13 minus 7 times -1 less than or equal to 6. Simplify that and I get 13 plus 1 is less than or equal to 6. So 13 plus 7 is less than or equal to 6. So this is 20 is less than or equal to 6. Is that true? No. So this one does not work. Move on to 0. 13 minus 7 times 0 less than or equal to 6. So 13, this turns into 0, is less than or equal to 6. Is that true? No. Plug in 1. 13 minus 7 times positive 1 less than or equal to 6. So this becomes 13 minus 7, which is 6, is less than or equal to 6. Is that true? Yeah, that's true. So this is yes. And finally, 13 minus 7 times 3 less than or equal to 6. 13 minus 7 times 3 is what? 21 is less than or equal to 6. 13 minus 21 is -8 is less than or equal to 6. Is that true? Yeah. So now that we know that, if I were to give you some other numbers to plug in here without doing any math, like if I asked you, what about 5? Would you say yes or no to 5? Yes. What about 12? How about 162? Yeah. And you don't need to do any more work here because you see the pattern. Suddenly, we're moving in the positive direction here on a number line, and they were all no, and now they're yes. So you can deduce that everything above 6 is going to work. Not 6, above 1 is going to work. What if I give you -10? That one probably wouldn't work. So we're looking for numbers, actually, that are greater than or equal to this guy, 1, because that's where we switched over from noses to yeses. So now we know how to substitute in numbers to figure out where inequalities are true. We need to learn how to graph inequalities. This is the first way that you're going to be representing your answers in this chapter. First of 4 ways, actually, that you're going to be representing your answers. To graph an inequality, follow these steps. Number 1, draw a number line. So I draw a number line. Looks like that. Locate the number in the answer in the middle. So let's say my answer was n or something has to be greater than or equal to 1. Well, I'm going to put that 1 right in the middle. Then give me a number that's bigger than 1. 2, okay. I'll put 2 on my number line. Give me a number that's less than 1. How about 0? So 0, I could put -3 on here if I wanted to. The point is, don't go crazy on your numbers. Give me a number line that makes sense here. So I have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Okay? Should probably have an equal spacing in between each one, unlike what I have here. All right, determine whether the dot will be open or closed. What that means is, look at your symbol. In this case, can I actually be at 1 or can I not actually be at 1? I can be at 1. When I can be at 1, and this is in your notes already, I used a closed dot. So I go to 1 and I put a closed dot on 1. Just like that. Because my answer says I actually can let n be 1. Then I need to determine which way the solutions go and draw an arrow to represent this. So, n is greater than or equal to 1. What numbers are we talking about here? 2, 3, 4, 1.1, 1.8, 97. All of those numbers are all greater than 1. So that's what number 3 is telling you to do. It's telling you to let me know on the graph which numbers we're talking about. And the way that I represent that is this. The book will do this. It'll actually shade one way, and it'll darken in the arrowhead. It'll look like that. But what I want to do, because this is a little bit neater, is I want to just draw this. Okay? It shows the same thing, it's just a little bit neater. So there's our answer right there. All right, for example, n is less than 1. I draw a number line. I have my answer sitting right here, 1. I'm going to put a couple more numbers on there, 2, 3. A couple numbers the other way, 0, -1. N is less than tells me what kind of dot. Because I can't actually be exactly 1. So it's got to be an open dot. And then less than tells me numbers that are less than. So numbers that are less than 1 are like 0, -1, 1/2, -0.1, all those numbers to the left of 1. So there's my answer. So we have an answer of A is greater than or equal to 0, so I need to draw a number line. What number will I put directly in the middle? 0. Give me a couple numbers to put over here. 1 and 2. Give me a couple numbers to put over here. -1, -2. Perfect. Okay. What kind of a dot do I put on 0? Closed dot, because it says greater than or equal to. The or equal to tells me a closed dot. And then I need to draw an arrow. Which way? To the right, because we're looking for numbers that are greater than 0. Numbers that are greater than 0 are like 1, 2, 3, 4, those kinds of numbers. So I'll draw my arrow to the right. A couple of you probably did get that last one right. The majority of you probably did not, though. So I draw my number line. I put what number in the middle? -3. Give me a couple numbers to the right of -3. To the right would be -2, -1. To the left would be -4, -5. All right? Greater than tells me what kind of dot? Open dot, because it's not greater than or equal to, it's just greater than. And then which way am I going? To the right. Greater than would be numbers bigger than -3, which is -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Numbers like that. For my second one, draw my number line. What number goes right in the middle? -2. Give me two numbers to the right. -1 and 0 is fine. Two numbers to the left. -3, -4. Pretty easy number line to put on there. Sure, you can skip some if you want to. Just give me a couple numbers to the left and to the right. What kind of dot do I put on -2? Closed dot. And here's the trick. Which way am I going to go? I got to go to the left. Because this actually is telling me that -2 is the biggest number of all the numbers that I can have. The biggest number is going to be -2. So every other number, it would be this way. Or you can look at it like this. If I read this from left to right, it says -2 is greater than or equal to x. But if I read it from right to left, what does it say? X is less than or equal to -2. And that's what we actually graphed. X is less than or equal to -2. So on these, you can actually read the inequality both ways. But as you read it backwards, you have to also see that sign and read it backwards as well. All right, so that was writing inequalities, or given an inequality, give me the graph. This is, I'm giving you the graph now. Tell me what the inequality would be. So let's take a look at this one marked A right here. Where do we start? We start at a closed dot, which is -1. So give me a variable. I don't care what variable it is. A, all right. A is, which way are we graphing? Greater than. It's a closed dot, so it's going to be greater than or equal to. And where did we start? -1. So that's all there is to these graphs. Pulling the answer off of it. Take a look at B. Give me another variable here. B, okay. Which way are we going? We're going, which is the less than direction. Is this an open dot or a closed dot? Open dot, so do I need less than or equal to? just less than, and where did I start? 4. That's it. Go and do the other two. For this top one, give me a variable. All right, A. Which way are we going? To the left, so that's less than. Is the dot open or closed? This is actually an open dot. It doesn't really look like it, but it is. You can kind of tell there's a little black blip inside the dot. That means it's open because the little tick mark is there. So should this be A is less than or A is less than or equal to? Just less than. And where do we start? -3. Good. And the second one. Give me a letter. F. Okay. Closed dot, so this is going to be greater than or equal to, and we start at 0. So that's it. All right, we have a couple of signs here that you might see. I don't know where you would see an 8-mile-an-hour sign, but they happen from time to time. Trail rides, you might see that around here. Actually, if you go to Cody, you definitely see a trail ride sign. Okay, trail rides starting at, the key phrase right here is starting at 1999. I want to write an inequality that describes the situation. So, give me a variable. T? Sure, trail rides. Starting at 1999. Are our prices going to be higher, usually, or lower than 1999? Higher, because starting at means that's like the rock bottom price. After that, if you get like the cool black horse or something that isn't 90 years old, then that price would probably be a little higher. But if you want the old nag that barely even has a back anymore, she might only cost $19.99. Okay? So, what symbol will I need here? The cost is going to be greater than or equal to, because we're starting at $19.99, and the number I write here is going to be $19.99. That's it. Okay, see if you can do the 8-mile-an-hour one. We need a variable, M. M for miles per hour, or you could say S for speed. We know it's going to be an 8 over here. What's the symbol? Less than or equal to. Your speed has to be less than or equal to 8 miles an hour. If you go over that, you're speeding. And actually, most of you are to the point now where you're either just about to get your driver's license or just about to take driver's ed. The speed limit is not the required speed. You can go slower than the speed limit. What you're not supposed to do is go faster than the speed limit. You can't go faster than the speed limit. You can go slower. And that's easy to forget, especially at your age when you're first starting driving. You feel like you really got to go the speed limit, or maybe even faster, but you don't. Section. Little summary here. This actually comes straight out of the book. The word less than tells you it's an open dot, and you're going to draw an arrow to the right. Greater than tells you it's an open dot, and you're going to draw an arrow. Did I just say to the right up here? To the left here, to the right here. Less than or equal to gives you the little bar underneath the inequality. Greater than or equal to gives you the little bar underneath the inequality. And the only thing that changes there is the fact that now you have a solid dot as opposed to an open dot. This is open, open, solid, solid. All right? You have to keep those things straight to be successful in this chapter. Both the solid and open dot and shading one way or the other.